Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. No matter how much time, effort and heartache you put into your business, it can all come undone if cash isn't flowing as it should. Paul Roach has spent 30 years unclogging cash flow issues for hundreds of businesses around Australia. And now he's sharing all his secrets in his book, Smarter Business Stronger Cashflow, How Business Owners Can Smash Their Cashflow Challenges. Before Paul takes us through some of those challenges, Chris Ashmore asks whether cash flow is indeed something that many businesses struggle with.
Yes, Chris, absolutely. Most business owners understand a profit and loss and they know how to work their business to change their profit and loss, but very few understand a balance sheet and almost none have a decent cash flow forecast in place.
Well, you have a lot of list of challenges that business owners face when it comes to cash flow. Could you go through some of them, starting perhaps with the mistake of putting all their eggs in one basket?
And that's one that does cause business owners a fair bit of pain, particularly when their business is starting. They're so excited to get a new customer, and if it's a big customer, it tends to be that they're hanging on to that customer and maybe not looking further afield to balance their risks. So quite often they have the big customer, something goes wrong, they lose the customer, all of a sudden their business is in trouble, which does happen quite a bit. I think probably focusing on cost of goods and margin, particularly at the moment in the current environment. Our supply chains have changed quite considerably and there's a lot of push on our cost of goods sold, and it's often hard to keep our full retail price out there at the moment.
Well, another issue is updating pricing. Are a lot of businesses reluctant to increase prices?
Look, there's a fear out there, and I think the fear has always been there that if you push your prices up, you're going to lose your customers. And I don't see that in the market. I see that most customers are understanding that there is a general push on prices and there is a time when the prices need to move.
What do you think of discounts? Are they good or bad?
Yeah, it's a twin-edged sword, isn't it, really? Because sometimes you need to discount to win the business. And what happens sometimes is that the reasons for the discounting disappear, but the discounts remain in place. So we end up squeezing our margin for no reason. And I think we need to manage our discounts carefully and try and minimise them wherever possible.
You say extending credit terms can be detrimental to cash flow, but isn't that part of doing business sometimes?
There's a whole heap of risks attached to giving credit terms, from businesses not paying, refusing to pay, going insolvent. Sometimes it's just harder to get your money. And I think that when businesses do that, it can become a habit. And all of a sudden, the 30-day account turns into 45 or 60 or 90 days. So we've got to be really wary of it and make sure we have our legals in place. So if something does go wrong, we can recover our money.
Now, labour, of course, has a big effect on cash flow. How do you get staff to be more productive?
I think we all like to go to work and do a good day's work. And I think the energy that we bring to it and keeping work in front of your workforce and setting time limits around what they can do, and importantly, making sure they're suitably trained for the job.
What's Parkinson's law?
Oh, Parkinson's a genius. He basically said that the tasks will take as long as the time assigned to it. So if you set out and say a job's going to take 5 hours, then there's every chance it's going to take a little bit over 5 hours. But I think also that there's more going to get done in the last hour than the first 4, quite often, to get the job done.
Do you have an example perhaps of a business that might do that?
Look, absolutely. It was quite a while ago, but I was coaching some plumbers and they were swapping out all the toilet bowls in a high-rise building in Perth. And we just asked them to record how many toilets they got done by the end of each hour. And we saw that, and it was all done after hours during the night. So we saw in the last 2 hours there was a big push to get everything done, but the first 6 hours the rate of work was not at the same level.
You write that every dollar you save in overhead goes directly into your net profit. Do you have any advice or examples on cutting overheads?
I think you've got to be careful with it. It's not just get the knife out and cut them to bits, but we've got to stop doing things that don't need to be done. It's pretty easy in most businesses. There are things that are duplicated or things that don't need to be done moving forward that we can stop doing. Then I think we just need to be smart about making sure that those processes don't fall back into getting done again. I've got a client very recently where the work was done in the workshop and recorded on a job card as to what the team members were doing to fix problems on clients' machinery. And then it was going into the accounts department and was getting rekeyed onto an invoice to present to the customer for payment. Really simple to take an approach of let's just do it right the first time and have that information flow to the invoice. And when you multiply that out, it was a relatively small saving of 3 hours a day for one person. But that's about $600 a week, which is about $30,000 a year in savings that were able to be implemented. So simple little things that can be done to change things quickly.
Any final words of advice, Paul, for businesses looking to get a better handle on cash flow?
I think the real thing here is understanding that cash flow is the blood flow of your business. And it's not always going to happen smoothly, and it's not always going to happen consistently. It's a skill that we need to learn, we need to understand, and we need to be able to apply in our business. I'm not saying that the business owner needs to be an accountant, but they just need to be able to run their business in a cash flow responsible way. So by doing that, they're going to help avoid their stress. They're going to start thinking in a forward focus rather than looking at their bank balance as the tool to run their business by.
That was the cashflow coach, Paul Roach. His book, Smarter Business Stronger Cashflow, is available from the cashflowcoach.global. The link is also available in the show notes of this episode. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.